The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes, good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Thursday, September 4th. And today is National Spice Blend Day today, you guys.
All right.
We're going to keep it spicy today, Jenny Beth.
Sure. Well, what do you expect, Jason?
Is that like K2?
Stop it, Stone. Of course you would say that because you're in Texas.
No, leave it out.
No, we know what Stone likes. I thought it was only Delta 8, but now we know he's
get out of town.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
He's
all the way.
He just asked everybody why.
You just started, Stone. It was your fault.
He's just asked everybody why not 2K.
Did not say that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
What other day is it, Jason? Give us some more days. What's going on today?
It's also National Macadamia Nut Day today, you guys.
Ooh, macadamia nut milk, huh, Jason?
It's pretty fattening actually, macadamia nut milk.
I'm more of an oat milk person, but I did get offered some macadamia nuts the other day, and I wasn't hungry. And they're like, "Oh, you don't like macadamia nuts? Everybody likes
macadamia nuts are amazing. Not to mention they start off with the word like mac. Them. They start off with the word mac, which also makes them amazing.
And I don't like nut juice pretending to be milk either. Sorry.
That's what she said.
We like coconut milk though.
Yeah, coconut milk. That's my jam. Coconut milk is what I use in everything.
Coconut milk right now.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna love this one, Shaun. It's national.
Bovine for me.
Too bovine.
Pure bovine. I milked a few women, but it was a real problem. It was a pain in the butt.
I'm telling you.
For the milk cow.
Especially when they kick back, right?
Oh, yeah. You had to get breast milk to feed them. What are you going to do?
It's also, you're going to love this, Shaun. It's National Newspaper Carrier Day.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Shout out to everybody with paper routes.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a paper route as a kid.
Those are the glory days. That print journalism, it would be nice if it came back.
It's never coming back, Shaun.
No, it's not. That was a legacy that will be missed.
Gutenberg era is just about over.
Oh, man, I see what you get in there, Jenny. It's also National Wildlife Day today, you guys.
Yeah, my dog's in the bed where he's not supposed to be, but hey.
Like a college party or
wildlife.
I think that's a fair question, Dale. It's a very fair question. I could,
wildlife.
Yeah, I could consider fraternity parties wildlife. I'm not mad at that. Yeah.
Place when I was in college.
Yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? Shout out to University of Chico.
University of Chico.
Yeah, they were always rated #1 as the #1 party school by Playboy magazine.
You mean Chico State?
Yep, Chico State. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Me and Dale know.
I got the city right. Jeez Louise, you guys. God,
close, but
you guys are just, whatever. So elitist,
Correct?
whatever.
I know.
It's so elitist.
Yeah. Correct.
Anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. We are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She is the mouth of the South and America's sweetheart. And she has an original story today, and I can't wait for her to share it with you. That's right, it is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
All right, so this is a follow-up to an original I did last time I did an original. In California, the state agency responsible for regulating legal cannabis is taking a major step towards becoming something more than just a watchdog. The Department of Cannabis Control, or DCC, is now training its staff in law enforcement-style tactics, including how to identify and track illegal financial activity tied to unlicensed cannabis operations. That training took place at the Western Regional Counter-Drug Training Center, a facility usually reserved for police and military personnel. And it included instruction on how to investigate cryptocurrency transactions, a method increasingly used by the illegal market to hide money from regulators and tax authorities. But the DCC is not stopping there. In Governor Newsom's 2025-2026 budget proposal, the agency is requesting millions in reallocated enforcement funding, new staffing positions, and expanded legal powers. That includes the ability to seal off unlicensed grow sites, delegate enforcement to local governments, and pass emergency rules to quickly shut down operations, all without having to wait for a traditional legislative process. Told y'all they were smart for doing it that way, assholes. Until now, the DCC has been seen primarily as a regulatory agency overseeing licensees, inspecting facilities, and ensuring compliance with state law. But with these new moves, the department is shifting into full-scale enforcement mode, building its own internal capabilities to target criminal behavior, work alongside armed task forces, and follow the money across both cash and crypto. Supporters say it's a necessary evolution to protect the legal market, but critics are calling it regulatory overreach, which is warning that a licensing agency is now crossing the line into police powers without public oversight, training, or accountability that law enforcement typically requires. As the DCC's mission expands, so do the questions about what kind of agency it's becoming and who's keeping watch. So, this should freak you guys out. The DCC does not have authority over anyone other than licensed entities. So if they're trying to track this illegal activity and doing it in a more law enforcement-centered manner, then they're not coming after the illicit market. They're coming after you, Mr. Licensee, and they're going to do it in a way where they don't have any kind of recourse. There's no one telling them what they can and cannot do, and they have no training to do so. So I think that this is a huge issue. This is not your job, DCC, especially when we have such backlog of licensees that are trying to get through processes, and you can't even respond to those who you already have sent letters to comply, you've taken their licenses, you've done whatever else. You can't seem to respond to emails while you're going through an inspection process, but now we should be able to feel confident that you're able to function as a police organization. So I'll throw it back to you guys. Nate and Dale, I really want your opinion.
Bad boys,
well,
bad
there's
boys.
Plenty of agencies out there that can do this, that have the authority right now. So it makes me wonder why DCC, which is just, let's be blunt, they're fucking inept at everything they do. Okay? They're the ones that are going to go out there and exercise police powers. I don't think so. I mean, they can go get an administrative warrant, which covers an administrative property that they have oversight on. The rest of it's a law enforcement function. Work with them, fine. But these guys are knuckleheads. We talked yesterday about the difference between Bell Costa and Glass House and how they're being treated. And I'm sorry, I have enough trouble trusting real law enforcement agencies, and I've represented cops and things like that before, because they carry guns and a mistake gets people killed, and they're highly trained at it. Put some of these administrative knuckleheads with guns out there, and I don't like going back into the prohibitionary era where we're going to go after people and throw them in jail. I prefer that they green light the industry and then regulate it, but we're not going to get that. It looks like they want to take more and more law enforcement power, and there's enough law enforcement agencies out there right now.
Well, if people haven't been paying attention, if people haven't been paying attention, this has been a multi-step process. So last year, they recriminalized knowingly doing illicit business with unlicensed operators, right? So they made it a crime for you as a licensee to do activities that are unlicensed. That means diversion, that means whatever, inversion, all of it. Then they push this through, and they've already been doing no-knocks. They've already been acting in a way that they're not supposed to do. So they don't need a fucking warrant, because part of this budget proposal was to allow them to work with the DEA, the FBI, state and local. Sorry, my dog has decided to sit here today, so this is interesting.
Get her, Mickey.
So the fact that they're able to do all of those things, and they're now requesting the power to do undercover operations, to do no-knocks, which they've already been doing. This is concerning. They're not trying to help an industry stay, they're trying to put you guys in jail. So pay attention.
Just seems like a huge dash of irony, too. Excuse me, like a huge amount of irony, because they're so quick to let other organizations, laboratories, people who want to study cannabis know that they need to go through them in order to touch cannabis. So they're trying to have it both ways, to where they can ban other people from touching cannabis within the industry based on their own definition of it. Yet it's no problem for them to exceed the boundaries that they've been handed. It's a run amok situation. Like I saw it with Bell Coastal Labs. I'm seeing it with this. I've seen it with numerous things that could be brought to example in between, where they essentially have no cap, so long as they're not, fill in the blank, go on, public murderous rampages. These people are attempting to get away with as much as they can. We're literally seeing a government organization that feels uncapped. The thing that makes it uncomfortable is this is in California. This is in the backyard of a place where that kind of stuff is supposed to be, you would think,
Nate,
like, disallowed, right? What do you got, Jay?
Nate, they're Democrats. Of course, they're going to do whatever the hell they want to do.
You couldn't let him
For some reason, I'm not surprised that
I couldn't. Yeah. Sorry, I just couldn't help myself.
I wouldn't even go by party. I just think it's the clearest sign of how overregulation does not achieve the outcomes it thinks it will. And California is the prime example. They've had years to develop. They've had years to get it right. They have done nothing good for the industry. It's just,
they can't even define boundaries at this point. I couldn't agree more.
No,
they can't even define where their enforcement begins and ends, and where they're trying to use this as a strength. I mean, how haywire and just absolutely
just pull it back.
Yeah.
Well,
if they pulled back, they could work it forward. Like if they pulled back from all of this stupidity and the overregulation, and I'll be short, Jenny, because I definitely want y'all are there in Cali. If they pulled back, they could fix this problem so easily, but instead they're doubling down, tripling down, thinking that they're going to ever catch up. It's never going to happen, Jenny.
So they were actually there in the legislation that created the governing body, the DCC, right? It did very clearly define what their powers were and what they could do and what they couldn't do. It clearly defined what violations were and what the punishments for those were. And it was very, very clear. This is overreach, and this budgetary proposal that was passed through was a way to skirt around all that and to undo that without the regulatory process that's required to rewrite those portions of the law in California. And so they know what they're supposed to be doing. They just also understand that because they left such open gaps and they left all of these things, that they can't fucking do it. So they've been doing it anyway. So instead of asking for permission, they're asking for forgiveness for the things that they've been doing and the enforcement methods they've been using that were not inside the scope of what they were to be doing in California.
This is a problem, Jenny. This is a big problem. I mean, I have so many thoughts on this, and this is just the over police state in my mind. Is it's.
Well, that's what they want to be. They want to be baby cops, Jason, and they want to put people in handcuffs, and they want to fucking actually be able to arrest you. Because honestly, to be fair, part of it's our fault because we're like, well, I mean, all they could do is give us a fine.
There couldn't be a worse group of people who. There couldn't be a worse group of people who would want this power. It's mind blowing. I pray that this doesn't go that far, and if it does, I
Nate,
expect to see something happen that interrupts it immediately.
Nate, it already has. They've already taken your license. They're still letting Glass House still operate, and they had illegal children on the site.
That part isn't up for debate.
Hold on, Shaun. Finish what you're saying, Nate.
No, I was just saying that part isn't up for debate. I think that's my point. Obviously, how the shit, I'm having trouble finding the words. The brazen nature of how they are proceeding with this shows just how ridiculous the situation is. Yeah, you're right. At this point, it almost seems like a footnote how, they shut down Bell Costa Labs essentially to try to fetch some numbers for the governor's office, but they, at the same time, would allow another humongous company to exist simply because of dollar signs. And you can be the biggest lab, but not the biggest set of dollars for the state. And they don't give a shit. Clearly, they are just going to go by their own process. It's just one more depressing example.
They have no
oversight.
Again. They have no oversight. They have no bureaucratic body that has any type of oversight on them. So they're able to just go as far as they want to take it because they're, you know what I'm saying? They're basically deemed the kingmaker.
I think
you say, Shaun? Yeah.
This is going to become a growing trend though, because in the last few years we've had a lot of political movement where we've learned that many crazy, insane things we didn't think were possible within our systems and structures are possible until they're challenged in court. So what I'm learning is democracy and this self-governing rule and the regulations by which we've all agreed to or the legislatures have put forward, that thing is only real if it's litigated because it can be challenged and then you have to take it to court to actually enforce. And I'm a little bit concerned about the precedent that we're setting. If California is doing it, if the far right and the far left are both doing this, we have a much bigger problem on our hands now.
Just noticed in Colorado, and it didn't work. And they came in with a new MED supervisor who decided that they should not be carrying guns because in Colorado they used to, and it's an open carry state, so it's very middle of the road when it comes to if you're looking between California and Texas or somewhere like that. And they quit doing it because it didn't work because it's not their fucking job. So whatever.
Fair enough. And on that, I think we are going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back. Oh, and we are back, you guys. We are back.
Coming up next, he's very proud of everybody else's work and everybody else's original articles, but Jason's bought one from someone else for us. And he's the highest Republican, the high at night head honcho, Jason Beck.
Oh, yes. Good morning, everybody. It's still not working. Do you guys hear that? Oh, they're the claps. The claps are going now. I hear them. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys heard the claps right there. And you know what I'm saying out there. Very interested to know if you guys heard that or not. But nonetheless, I ended up hearing it, Elias. It was a little bit delayed, but whatever. Oh, sweet, Leah. Oh, amazing. You guys heard it. All right. Well, IG is a popular thing in the space, and it's called Instagram, and it is Instagram. But if your IG page is deleted or shadow banned, they're saying that you should do this, you guys. That's right. Meta's latest cannabis policy states that brands can educate, advocate, or give PSAs related to the plant as long as no illicit substances are being promoted. Despite this promise of change, the issue of content creators being suppressed has persisted. In fact, it's gotten worse for a lot of people, they say. Suppression comes in the form of either shadow banning or full-out deletion. If you shadow ban, the Meta algorithm may bury your posts, and your page won't be searchable to users unless they type your full username, lowering your engagement. While there's no guarantee that a given page won't be permanently deleted, there are steps you can take to make the odds lower, from sending general appeals to getting in direct contact with Meta employees. An initial suspension doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all. Well, how do you want to avoid trouble with Meta? Well, by far the best way to protect your cannabis account is prevention. Instead of waiting to be banned or suspended, it's safest to ensure that your page won't be flagged for doing anything against Meta's rules. Ishka Hillman, CEO of the Canna Boss Babes, tries to keep her content toned down and her pages up to date as best as possible by creating backup accounts, buying a blue check mark, and being sure not to smoke on lives. She found relative success with that. Betsy Baker, a longtime social media professional and communications manager at Puffco, that's not how they spell her name, but whatever, agrees that backup accounts are crucial to continue engaging with your audience. And she, in a quote, she says, "Make sure to have a backup account ready with a similar username so when people search your handle, the backup account shows up," she told Green State. Prevention goes beyond your immediate content, too. Ben Mason, CEO of Pillar Marketing, told Green State in an email that if a post is flagged, Meta can scan highlights, reshares, the link in your bio, and other associated pages to look for further violations. Thus, cannabis creators not only have to monitor what they post, they have to make sure their entire ecosystem, as Mason calls it, is clean. Sometimes Meta isn't the one pulling for your page to be removed. If multiple people are reporting you, aka haters, Instagram tends to suspend and delete first and ask questions later, according to Bill Levers of Beard Brothers Farms. There's not much you can do about people reporting your account, but there are ways to decrease your chances of being permanently banned. And what do you do when you get banned? Well, unfortunately, prevention doesn't work for everyone, and some pages that try their hardest to follow Meta's guidelines are still taken down, but all hope is not lost. Of course, there are obvious options, submitting help tickets, appealing in the app, etc., and sometimes it takes more, though. Mason told Goodtrees a few ways he's avoided a permanent ban for the last 7 years was creating cannabis content. In a quote says, "Do not file an appeal immediately. Once you do, a manual reviewer will lock in a decision that's nearly impossible to reverse," he said. Instead, first escalate through a Meta account rep. Ask them to review your specific violations, and only after adjustments submit a formal appeal. According to Mason, the odds of reinstatement for first-time suppressions are over 80%, and Meta account reps are only available for business accounts that spend a certain amount on ads. If your page is eligible, they will reach out to you. Otherwise, it's much harder to reach someone. A user on Reddit had a family member sign up for Meta Verified and reach an account support agent on their behalf, allowing them to finally speak to a real person and reinstate their account. Mason also encourages businesses to leverage their ad spend. He says, Meta is a business and they care about keeping compliant advertisers investing in the platform. And there are some groups that claim to be able to reinstate pages for a fee, but it's a risky game. There's no guarantee, and their methods and there's no guarantee that their methods will work. Bill Lever suggested switching your account to a creator account and then making it a business account again, as sometimes it resets the shadow ban. And they also say to make sure that your Instagram and Facebook accounts are connected and tied to a Meta business site, so that even if one page is deleted, you still have access to support channels. There are a plethora of other methods that people claim work, including using bots to spam support forms, utilizing the creator support portal, and filing in small claims court. Baker adds that you should have proof you are who you say you are before making your case, and if all else fails, no, you're not alone. In a quote, "You should also formally submit an appeal with Meta and make sure to have documents that verify your identity and your business," she suggested. "And if that doesn't work, just know you have joined an elite rank of cannabis marketers who have had to experience this. It's almost a rite of passage." Well, but Meta's censorship has many inconsistencies, and unfortunately, Meta's censorship doesn't seem to be consistent across the board. Pages that share the same caliber of content have varied experiences with Meta, and every reinstatement tactic that works for some yields no results for others. Mark Engelman, vice president of Brothers Grimm Seeds, wrote in a LinkedIn post that he has serious concerns about inconsistent enforcement and algorithm errors that unfairly penalize businesses. And this came after his company company's page was taken down for a second time. The first time it was reinstated after verifying their compliance documentation was federally licensed hemp seed company, said Edelman, and now it's been taken down again for violating account integrity. Meta did not respond to Green State's request for comment. And can creators find a Meta alternative? Well, unfortunately for the cannabis industry, there's not a great Meta alternative when it comes to reaching consumers directly. It's by far the most effective way to reach large intergenerational audiences with user-friendly content. But despite this, some creators have opted to give up on Meta entirely, or at least start investing in other more stable platforms such as X and Snapchat and Reddit and LinkedIn are popular for their relatively relaxed cannabis policies, but some have taken upon themselves to create platforms that will support and even prioritize cannabis. According to our friend and viewer Carrie Accardi of 420 Media, she is launching a streaming TV channel for brands to showcase their products on mainstream platforms like Apple TV, LG, Amazon Fire, Spotify, and more on TVs, mobile, audio, and the web. And there's also LeafWire on Canmar. These platforms allow cannabis creators to showcase their products and other information, and they garner followings and connect with like-minded individuals. Aside from the particular cannabis platforms, many creators just focus on building their own websites or doing in-person outreach in their immediate communities. And of course, this isn't an option for all social media, for all, because social media has monopolized the attention of so many people now that it's hard to get customers without it. Also, planning events like these costs money, and that's something that not everyone has. And the struggle continues because Meta keeps the cannabis industry constantly on its toes. And while it sounds easy to competitively divest, most companies don't have that option. While these pieces of advice cannot guarantee that your page will be safe, they certainly improve your chances of a long, sustained social media presence. Interesting perspective, you guys. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say this. I know I've lost a few accounts from Instagram and then from Meta and whatnot, and you know, I've had accounts reinstated, and and I have another trick that was not mentioned here. So Green State, you guys should have reached out to me, because I have something in mind that I generally will use that was not mentioned in here, and that is what you need to do a lot of the times. If your account was deleted and you're going to start a new one again, you need to go and buy a whole new device, because oftentimes that account is associated with your IP address of the device that you created it on or use it on. And so those devices are contaminated, and you need to just go and get a whole new device as well. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I don't think that's the only reason your phones are contaminated, Jason, but we'll just leave that right there.
Easy there, Jenny Beth. Easy there.
Speaking of censorship, welcome back to the chat, Nick Bradley. Missed you, bud.
Oh, welcome back,
listen,
Nick.
I've had the same Instagram account since Instagram started. I've lost I've lost a few posts, but I've never lost the fucking account.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know what we can and we can't do. It's not fair. It's unfortunate, but you know what we can and we can't do. So maybe let's try posting less of what you can't do and being more creative. Like I had to do a branded, like a content sponsored post for a vacuum seal company. And I did it. Remember, Jason, I did it around Thanksgiving when I was cooking Thanksgiving dinner for everybody, and I sealed actual broccoli because I forgot to ship the broccoli. So get creative. I think that's a lot of problems that we see cannabis companies having, like going and paying for a blue check mark is not going to save your ass.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not buying that one.
Right. No, bullshit. And also, like, just because you have an Instagram page does not make you a cannabis industry participant either. So I think that's problem with the influencer, community, whatever that they want to call themselves. I don't know.
So cute.
Not how that works. So yeah, it's so cute. Go smoke a joint on Instagram, and now you have a personality.
And a lot of times they're just smoking hemp or Delta 8. It's not even real weed.
Leave Stone alone.
Hey, the only Delta 8 I ever smoked was with Rico Lamitte.
I don't know about all that, Stone. I don't know.
Eat one. It sounds like Meta wants to say the rules are loosening up, but in reality, it's the same old story. Pages are still getting deleted or buried with shadow bans. I know firsthand because I'm constantly fucking buried with a shadow ban. Yeah. So I don't know. At this point, every cannabis creator needs to treat Instagram like on borrowed time. I don't look for the next fucking big thing because Meta is not your friend.
Yeah, I really actually, we noticed during these sessions that they were messing with us in session, because at least in Texas, it was critical for us to have these networks to communicate what was moving with bills and when people needed to reach out to their legislators. And I've lost advocacy accounts with thousands of followers, and there's like no recourse for it, even if you're not consuming product on the account. I noticed because especially like we were getting millions of views at the beginning of the session, and it was people were turning out for the legislature, and I think they would have had a good turnout either way, but I can't discredit that the social communication is what really brought our cannabis community together all across Texas, because you have to drive hours into, like, some folks drove 8 hours to get to Austin to testify. And they wouldn't have had that information if it wasn't for social reach. As the session continued, many of those policy advocates and creators were starting to see their numbers hit or their accounts turned off. I went through one where I lost Highly for a bit. That one's a smaller account, but it does raise a flag when you have a smaller account that loses viewership, because I get when haters report you because they just want to be that way. And it happens to I know everybody plays their little games, but it's really interesting when you see it on smaller advocacy accounts happening, especially when they are only delivering news and information, because it definitely is a sign that the people united with their voices combined is something that can move mountains, and they see that. So we need to have an answer if we're all going to divest from Meta.
Well, I think the answer is X. Ultimately, X allows for advertising. There's a lot, but I will say this too, in regards with X, I do know of people that have also been banned from X for, not sure what reason or whatnot, but they have been deleted. I have seen it.
I don't know, they're posting straight up porn on X, so.
Yeah.
Straight up porn.
Maybe we'll just see people going back to actually being in community with each other and in-person events. I like that.
I would prefer that as well. It's crazy how far it's gone. I know Instagram was the focus of this. I don't have a TikTok account personally. For Teaching Bud, we've got one that we feed content to every so often. But even in that, not only just the imagery, but what you can say triggers things. The word like THC or cannabis, or I could go on, but they're specifically looking for and running AI functions for anything cannabis-like. In fact, on TikTok, if you want to find anything cannabis, which is numerous, they all call it gardening. I'm not sure if you guys have run into that. It's almost like ridiculous where somebody is basically has their joint off camera. They're talking about gardening and what they did that day with gardening, and they'll disappear for a moment and come back with a puff of smoke. Like, this is like completely revolutionary. And it's so weird and detached to be able to see people use, platforms, social media, things that are supposed to be by concept, things that people like to talk about, and now finding weird like loopholes to be able to discuss things like gardening when they completely are talking about cannabis in the first place. Personally,
I kind of like that.
Push everybody. I like YouTube. I think that the ability to see people and what their personalities give you is best conducted through something like YouTube. Even this, Jason, where you've got this pseudo right-wing personality, from what I can tell, you've got this
what?
You've got this notion of like who you are still comes through, and I like that. And ultimately, these kind of platforms, I personally see as being the future for something closer to what Shaun mentioned. What is a person like? What's their personality not like? Not these edited snapshots and filtered versions of what people want you to think of them, which is unfortunately all too prevalent these days.
Yeah, and we're seeing a rise on Substack as far as journalists migrating, because the other thing about social media, and you bringing up gardening, is you can't even, as a journalist, we were having problems completely outside of cannabis. saying things like dead, you had like unalived. I don't know if I just got us, Jason. You have to say we're making up this whole other language to compensate for First Amendment violations. This is confusing as a journalist. So it's good to see folks moving to Substack and other platforms where they are prioritizing individual voices that can create libraries of content. And I think that's going to be, we were talking about print journalism earlier. I think what we're going to start to see is this new social journalism. And yes, to your point earlier, Jenny, there are definitely influencers who aren't a part of the industry who maybe have too much influence, but there are people who are on both sides, and we're going to see more traction in that space, not just in cannabis, but in journalism, in tech, in several avenues, because frankly, the people are kind of sick of the bullshit. They just want to hear it straight from their community members and other people like them who they trust.
I mean, I guess is Substack basically like a competitor to Reddit? I feel like they're the same thing.
I think it's, kind of, but differently. Like Reddit is you're getting answers from the community. Substack, you can actually create substantive written work that will get shared with audiences that it resonates strongly with. And it's just really catching on because it is allowing a long format and creative style of writing or more in-depth journalism. And the writers can monetize it is the thing. So these writers are finally getting paid, because I can't tell you how many decades journalists have not been getting paid, whether you're in cannabis or not. And then Reddit, that's you get your answers from the community. It doesn't matter how unhinged they are. That's why we love it.
Interesting.
Substack, the way to think about it is it feels like it's in the direction of Reddit, but all of the posts and in like blog, form kind of stuff and articles. And so therefore, everything goes through a process that helps it feel and be validated. And it's not as simple as making a normal post as you would in Instagram or Reddit or anything like that. It's a very specific format that you have to feed it in that's much more blog-like. And when Shaun mentions more appropriate to journalists, it's very, very much with them in mind, and people from like the scientific or educational communities and so forth, who look to put something that's got actual substance out there. And there are additional steps. Again, that feels like you're more like posting a blog on, an old school site than, it does actually just uploading a photo from your library and saying, here, this is what I see. So it's worth checking out. But honestly, with things like policy and journalism in general, it's awesome. It does not yet have the cannabis community focused on it like I'd like to see yet.
Yeah,
that means there's an opportunity, friends. Where there's an opening, there's a way.
Dale, you have anything you want to throw in on this, Dale?
Yeah, it's the federal government gave all these companies exemptions from the law.
Exactly.
Which was the first problem they had. I don't know if you've ever tried to read their terms of service.
Yep, there's no free speech on any of these platforms.
No, it's a contract, right? Yep. They can take it away whenever they want to.
Exactly.
Sure, go sue me in court, spend a couple $100,000 on lawyers to get them to put your fucking blog back up. It's an unfair, and let's practice abundance and manifest whatever these fucking bloggers do out there.
Neil, do you think it'll ever get to a point where it becomes almost like public utility, like the internet, where they have those arguments that it's essential to actually function?
Oh, it's there now, okay? But the people who own these companies have more money than God, and they're not going to allow this to go out into the public arena where they can get their ass sued and be compelled to do things like others do. So I'm not hopeful. I mean, you don't have to have a federal license. So even that control used to be you had to have an FCC license. So the feds would come in and tell you, look, you can't do this. You have at least some power. Now it's just, it's a private company with 200 or 300 pages of terms, which, I'm an attorney. I tried reading. It's like, I'm not going to waste my fucking time. You don't have any power with these people. Where do you go? Just no place to go. It's fundamentally unfair.
I totally agree.
well, with that,
I guess we're going to keep this train rolling. You have anything else you want to say, Stone? I mean, you're a content creator. You get amazing hair.
Man, I'm ready to hear Dale's story in Chicago.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So let's get this train moving.
All right, we're gonna roll. We're gonna roll right into Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet, they're nasty, they turn your teeth yellow on top of turning other things all different colors as well. He's honest though, and he is unconcerned with your opinion, public opinion, and anyone else's opinion. He wants to throw their hat in the race, and he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. That's right, is your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning. Good morning. It's Tio Loco again and Jenny Beth Dills. My story this morning comes out of MJ Biz Daily, and it caught my attention because it puts out there the big question of, should cops be allowed to come into the industry? Headline is, Chicago alderman won't allow cannabis dispensary owned by ex-cops. Okay, so there's been a lot of battles in our industry since it first got started about what's called social equity. People like myself who have been prosecuted for simple possession of weed. People lived in poor neighborhoods that were over-prosecuted and over-policed for this. There were ideas of social justice involved. We also have this thing called the Dormant Commerce Clause that can't put up barriers that keep people from freely exercising interstate commerce. But California has had in our regulations that we don't allow cops to be involved in certain parts of the industry. Okay? But once you retire, you're no longer a cop. Where do they stand? And it turns out that this dispensary in Chicago needed a variance. And I tell you, that is a place I've been myself where you need to go in and ask for a variance. Everything else is in line. If you don't get your variance, you are shit out of luck. That's what happened here. This alderman, and somehow this company that we're talking about here got social equity marks somehow. And I don't know, I don't think it's from the cops. But there's half a dozen cops involved in this business, and the alderman said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to approve your variance. So guess what? You don't get to have dispensary here. Go someplace else. And apparently people in the area supported the alderman and telling him, yeah, you locked a bunch of people up and you played this game with us and enforced bullshit laws. Maybe you don't get to go into the industry. The flip side of that is we have these things called Constitution, which allows everyone, mandates equal protection before the law. Mm-hmm. So I can tell you, I've represented cops. Most of them were just hardworking folks. I've met a few racist, misogynist assholes with a badge on. Most of them aren't. Okay? But the big question, should cops be allowed to be in this industry? Should there be some barrier to it? Where are the limits of this? I'm going to throw it back at you because I got my own opinions, but I want to see what you guys have to say.
I think this is a tough one because it is America. It is the home of the free. And like, how can you tell someone that they can't get into an industry because of a former job that they had? But on the other hand, this is a special issue. So why don't we set a rule?
Well,
like, how about no cops can get in the industry until everybody is out of jail for a cannabis crime?
Well, because that's not really an enforceable way to do it, Stone. But I do like the sentiment. But I think I agree with the problem, Dale, about that this being a social equity license, and I think that does pose an interesting thing. But at the same time, we have to allow people to have freedom and be able to do what they want to do. And the fact that they chose to discriminate against this license based off of just that one work history factor, I think they may have a civil suit against this body and against this municipality for discrimination.
I may bit after I say this, but for the most part, I agree with Jason. He's absolutely right. You can't say who can and cannot do this. I would like to see under what basis they qualify for social equity, because I think that's a little to me. But I would also like to acknowledge that, like, cops have been selling drugs for years. So is it really a career change? Or getting it from the distribution instead of the fucking evidence offer this time.
See, that would be my first. Those are like your top two concerns. That was what raised the red flag for me, because I was like, I wonder if the community members know these cops. I wonder if they know that these cops were selling under the table. I wonder what the history is.
Well, yeah, now
I don't know.
If there's a history of these guys being bad cops, and there's like some type of then I can understand why the community would not want them to be involved. But if they have stellar records and have no blemishes on their records, I think it's a clear discrimination case.
Oh, the cops who are selling the ones under the table aren't always caught, and it's not always on their record.
That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point,
I agree.
Shaun.
I understand, but everyone gets to opine, and I'm giving you from the ground community perspective what they might be thinking about. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have it, Jason. Let me finish real quick. I'm just saying I hear why the community is raising flags, and I could see this happening in several communities, especially like Chicago. If we have cops who are known to have been one way when they were in the uniform and another way now that they want to be licensed. I don't know if that's true to this company, but I could see why there would be kickback. On that same note, we can't arbitrarily decide. Interestingly, though, I thought social equity was specifically to repair the harms done by law enforcement. So it's a little bit like, what? But that doesn't take away from the multiple. They could have people who are social equity. Look, we have Black and brown cops. We have Latino cops. Like, you can still be a social equity applicant in another avenue and be a cop. It doesn't preclude you. So I would have to go deeper to really want to figure this out.
Well, the real problem they have is that they needed a variance. Those are discretionary acts. Okay. Now, if they just came in and said, we're going to deny your license because you used to be a cop, I think they'd have some serious problems there. But when you have a discretionary act and they say no, I mean, I've had to litigate these before. You've got to prove they're being arbitrary and capricious. And that gets into areas that, maybe a cop is good, bad, indifferent. I don't know. But then what about anybody else? I mean, what if you got somebody with a couple of DUIs on their record and they want to be an owner? Okay, it opens up a can of worms here. I've been a Democrat. It's not a big secret here. One of the problems they have is they want to go out there and solve every problem with rules and regulations and taxes. And some of these just can't be solved that way. We do have laws. And if you try to take an action against somebody because of what's between their knees, the color of their skin, how they identify, their religious things, these are protected groups and you can't do it. And it upsets a lot of people frankly, on both sides that, you can't treat somebody differently, even though historically, my family may have owned somebody, okay, but you can't treat me badly because of that, because I don't own them. At some point, you have to draw a line and say, no. You look at what we're in front of us right now. Are you using some arbitrary factors to deny somebody something? Is it a protected class you're trying to, cops are just like anybody else, except they were given a badge and a gun and an opportunity to do really good. Some of them did really bad. Most of them did the best they could. And should they be denied? I've got friends who went into their retirement accounts as retired cops and got into the industry here in California. Okay. And they seem to be doing quite well because they probably know a few people. Okay. So is that okay? Should that not be allowed? I don't know. This needs to be done in a way that doesn't discriminate against anybody for reasons that our Constitution doesn't allow.
Yep. Fair enough. Fair enough. And on that, we are going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back, you guys.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't.
I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months. I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me. We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Guys, we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app.
Where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfer, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
You want to introduce Stone, Jenny?
Coming the time-conscious, semi-conservative voice out of the ATX.
Austin.
The deep love for Delta ATHC. Yeah, Stone Slade.
You forgot how much he loves tumbleweed too, Jenny Beth.
Tumbleweed.
This is my intro, Jason. If you wanted to intro him, you could have done that.
That's so cute.
Down.
So cute.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to go now. You guys ready for me?
Yeah, we're ready for you, Stone.
Well, I wanted to cover the Texas story, but I got impatient and I wrote this story instead. And I'm so happy that Shaun is here to cover that. But because of that news, here's something cool happening in Fort Worth. Fort Worth just got a little greener. A new spot called Emerald City Dispensary and Lounge has opened its doors, marking the city's very first cannabis lounge. You'll find it over in the Panther Islands Urban District. So what is Emerald City? Imagine a cigar lounge, but swap the cigars for Delta 8, Delta 9, CBD, and even THCA flower. Owner Candace Stinnett, a name some Texans already know from her earlier shop, Emerald Organics, back in 2019, has decided it's time her hometown got a taste of what folks have been enjoying out west for some time now, a place where adults can legally hang out, light up, and relax in public without looking over their shoulder. And she's not phoning it in. Stinnett toured other lounges out west before opening this one, pulling ideas to create a space that feels like a cross between a Victorian parlor and Alice in Wonderland trip and a millennial Pinterest board gone wild. Neon quotes from Mac Miller and Lil Wayne glow on the walls. Big velvet couches swallow you whole. Fake greenery and pinks and greens dangle overhead. It's part fever dream, part social experiment. The menu, it's got options. You can grab pre-rolls, smokable flower, or other THC or CBD-infused drinks. Feeling old school, they'll hand you a grinder, papers, matches, and a jar of sealed cannabis so you can roll it yourself. And if you don't finish your stash, they'll bag it up with proper labels so you can take it home, complete with a note, actually, to hand the officer in case you're ever questioned. Talk about covering all the bases. Now, this isn't a free-for-all. The lounge runs like a professional operation. Guests check in with an ID, sign a waiver at the door, and bud tenders and so-called flight attendants act like cannabis sommeliers. and multiple security guards to keep watch. There's also a patio, gaming console, and of course, snacks behind the bar, chips, candy, baked goods, and the usual suspects when the munchies hit. One thing you won't find there is booze. Stennett said mixing alcohol and THC can be too much. So this is a strictly cannabis-only bar, but they are rolling out infused cocktails soon with the help of Brian Conway from San Antonio's Powered by Plants. Beyond the products, the bigger play here is community. Emerald City already has ladies' nights, live music, comedy shows, and the same kind of social calendar that you'd expect from a trendy cocktail lounge, but without the alcohol. Stennett's goal is to normalize cannabis use, pull it out of the shadows, and give it the same kind of legitimacy people give craft wine and beer. Maybe that's the real story. Fort Worth is known for cowboys and cattle drives, but now it's home to Texas's first cannabis lounge in DFW, a place where weed isn't whispered about but enjoyed in the open with friends, laughter, and music. As Stennett put it, cannabis heightens your senses. That encourages conversation, laughter, and new connections. In other words, this is more about than just lighting up. It's about creating experiences. So for Fort Worth, welcome to Emerald City. Pull up a velvet couch, spark one up, and join the conversation. Because Emerald City's dispensary lounge is not just a place to smoke, it's a place to connect, celebrate, and help normalize cannabis for the next generations. Stone Slade, the High at 9 News.
Stone, are they actually selling products there too?
They are.
They are, but it's all hemp stuff and THCA and all that stuff, right?
THCA, hemp stuff. It's okay. Texas is doing what they can do.
I'm with it. I'm not mad at it because it's all THCA at the end of the day. And you said it was what was it? What I put it in the chat. Where did it go?
Where did it happen?
No, the location. The location.
It's Fort Worth.
No.
Yeah.
You said it was an island. It was some island. Is it Panther Island?
Yeah.
Panther Island Urban District.
Panther Island. Is Panther Island adjacent to Cougar Town, Stone?
It could be. I'm not sure.
I'm just saying. It sounds like they would go together.
Is Panther an older or younger crowd?
It's however you want to identify, I guess, nowadays, Stone.
The amount of time we don't have for this part of the conversation. So
I think go ahead, Jenny.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask if anybody had anything about the story.
On this story, I am really glad to see that they pivoted to saying that they're the first or one of a kind in their area, because earlier in the year, a couple of folks had to collect them. I might have been a bone collector on that one. It's time to be a first. And we had to correct that immediately because Texas has had these lounges for years. Although this is really beautiful and I commend their work, and I'm looking forward to seeing the actual patio space because I did get on them for using renderings and they're still using renderings. I want to actually see it. Don't tell me you're the first. It did get me a little heated. Also, my prednisone, I might have roid rage, but I'm happy to see that Texas is growing. We have these beautiful boutiques. We have boutiques like Cozy Cannabis here in Austin, boutiques like Emerald City, and we have a lot of good things cooking in Texas, and I'm looking forward to the future. And celebrate your wins. Don't claim to be the first if you're not. It's so much easier for the community to celebrate with you. So good job.
They're the first in the DFW. Whatever. Just
They're not.
Let me tell you something. I was the first at lots of things, and people wanted to always call and claim that they were first of things that I'd done decades before. And so, let people just live in their imagination, because we let all the liberals live in their imagination all the time anyway. So why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not let everybody else live in their imagination too?
Yeah, it's the market though, and then people don't take Texas as seriously because they think it's the first.
No one takes anyone in cannabis seriously. That's just how it is.
Okay, I probably take it too.
Let me just say that DFW rolls off his tongue, but ATX make its butt pucker.
Well, DFW is an abbreviation for the actual airport.
So
everyone has always, hold on. DFW refers to Dallas Fort Worth. It refers to two cities in one, Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas, and it's an area that is called the DFW. It's not just some generic town that people decided to rename because they thought it sounded cool.
There's an oasis in the middle of Texas, and it's called the ATX.
It's not in the, the best part about being in Austin, Stone.
It's surrounded by Texas.
You're surrounded by Texas. Exactly right. That's the best part about being in Texas.
All right. So, what is that next, Beck?
Oh, are you ready to move on, Jenny Beth? No one
I
else.
am.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we're gonna roll into our final commercial. We're gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
There we are back, you guys. Jenny Beth, you want to introduce Nate?
Sure.
All right, there we go.
Why not? Why not? Let's hope it's not another story about aspergillus, because God knows he gets breathy on that one. But coming up next for you guys, the founder of Bell Celebs and now teaching bud, Nate Winokur.
Thank you so much. And no, we're going to be short-winded today. It's that's sort of the theme. So this article comes to you from Cannabis Science and Technology. And I have to admit, it's not as exciting as your guys' stories, although it does have to do with being, actual evidence with cannabis, with elements of the cannabis plant reducing pediatric cancer. And that is actually kind of neat. So it is titled Cytotoxic Effects on Cancer Cells Shown by Compounds in Industrial Hemp Roots. Cannabis compounds other than cannabinoids are being studied for potential uses and benefits. A recently published study examined the effects of neoligands found in hemp roots on cancer cells. After the legalization of industrial hemp by the 2018 Farm Bill, the study noted the exploration of low THC strains of industrial hemp for a variety of uses, such as livestock feed, paper production, building materials, and now possibly the pharmaceutical industry. The study, neoligands associated from industrial hemp, cannabis sativa, roots have cytotoxic effects on cancer cells, was published in the Journal of Cannabis Research in August 2025. The study was funded, I'm going to skip that, using liquid chromatography. Peaks in root samples were tentatively identified as neoligands. As the samples were prepared for analysis, their inhibitory concentration 50, which is called IC50 of the samples, was tested against multiple cancer cell lines. So that's a rating for being able to show how something could be, in this case, effective against cancer cells. The presence of data hall A was confirmed using a comparison to a commercially available reference sample, and data hall B was also found in the hemp samples. Purities from these data halls were tested against two high-risk neuroblastoma cell lines, a hepatoblastoma cell line, which is pediatric liver cancer, and Hodgkin's lymphoma cell line. These four lines were chosen for this study based on their relevance to pediatric cancers. Highlighted results of the test included the highest cytotoxic activity was seen in semi-pure fractions containing data hall A and B, compared to control in all four lines. The compounds were shown to have varying effects against cancer cells, and pure data hall A showed the lowest inhibitory concentration in all the cell lines. The study stated that this is the first time anti-proliferation activity on cancer cells has been demonstrated with these particular chemicals. Further studies would be needed to clarify the mechanisms and the molecular basis of the cytotoxicity of these compounds. Though industrial hemp is more well known for its cannabinoid content and contains hundreds of other phytochemicals that may have uses in the functional food and pharmaceutical industry, explained the researchers. Furthermore, utilizing each part of the hemp plant, including the roots, will reduce agricultural waste and provide additional value to growers. All right, that's it, guys. I really, really appreciate the continued research on the cannabis plant. I guess in some ways it's not really a surprise that we're discovering, now that we're able to research it in real time. It's providing this whole myriad of potential solutions when it comes down to studies of how plants and healthcare intersect. I've seen so many of these studies kind of coming out more and more. And although this one's really neat, we're actually looking at further research. There's been certain compounds inside of cannabis that have been found to be anti-cancerous. And this is just stacking it on. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty cool how, when allowed to research, we're seeing this. And we're finding all of these various things that's sort of confirming what we knew all along, that this plant kicks ass and that it really can virtually redefine healthcare if, given the chance to study properly. And go figure, anybody who said that or thought that, congratulations, you were pretty fucking dead on. So that's what I think. What do you guys think about this?
I love this.
Go for it.
I mean, I don't have cancer, but I do have an autoimmune condition, and the hemp tea, cannabis tea from the leaves, not necessarily from the bud, was helping so much with inflammation, dealing with that kind of stuff. Like the food, when we look at it as a food and we look at the leaves, and there's so many, it's a superfood. It's like better than spinach for you. It's got vitamin K. There's so much good stuff in it. So I'm excited to hear that we're starting to see more about how it's cancer killing, and more about the bigger things that it's doing, because I think that's going to shed a lot of light on how, in smaller ways, it can also play a role in helping people with their management of Hashimoto's, autoimmune issues, skin conditions, psoriasis, even diabetes with THCV. We're seeing people have really positive results, not necessarily in formal clinical trials, although they are, but just watching your consumers and getting the stories back from them. This is great. This is so good. We need more of it.
So
I agree. Go ahead.
These are in vitro studies, which are in petri dishes. And we've been getting in vitro information back for decades now. They need to turn this into phase 1, where they study the efficacy and try to unravel how this plant and these products stimulate the immune system to do what it's set up to do. Because when you've got cancer, when you've got autoimmune problems, rheumatoid problems, your immune system is out of whack. And how do you put it back into an upright position where it recognizes bad things and goes after those bad things? That's where this is going to be an adjunct. We know that it does kill cancer cells in vitro. How it works in vivo is where we've never been allowed to have the fully funded studies. We can do longitudinal and really dig into it, because there are parts of these compounds that do something to the immune system. And that's where we sort of have, we have to bring in anecdotes. But, for the future of some of these diseases, rather than taking some of the pharmaceuticals that are out there, they advertise on TV, I think this is a safer product, a safer way to go. But we're still in the dark about this. And there's so much that's just begging to be studied. You wonder, why isn't this being studied? I don't get it.
I mean, so I'm friends with Riley Kirk and Miyabi Shields, and they run the Network of Applied Pharmacology. I'm sure a few of y'all know them, and they do studies because they have a large social presence. They're able to collect anecdotal data and compile it into scientific data. They're both cannabis scientists. And they also did science of smokability, where they're actually studying the science of smoke and how the full experience, from the tingle on the taste bud to how your pulmonary system is reacting. And what they've shared continuously is that it's on us in the industry to begin to invest in these things, and that we've been a little bit short-sighted, because if it isn't immediately tied to profitability, no money gets thrown at the research. So I'm hoping that with more of this development, we will proactively begin to research some of these things. What I wouldn't want to see is us waiting until rescheduling and then allowing pharmaceutical companies to take over the whole thing because they'll water down and outweigh all of our material. They'll do it way faster and they won't do it with the same amount of love. So hopefully folks will catch on. We'll also catch a break with the pocketbook because I understand it costs a lot of money, but we'll begin to see the industry invest more into its own research and development as it should have years ago.
As you mentioned with diabetes and control on that, Shaun, it spurned a memory and I looked it up real quick. I Googled it. There was a 2013 study that was published in the American Journal of Medicine that found that cannabis users had better insulin control, if I recall correctly, in the high teens, almost 20% better insulin control, especially when corrected across things like everything from ethnicity to age to, activity level and everything like that. And around 12% thinner waistlines, cannabis users corrected across all areas versus non-cannabis users. So yay health.
Yay health. Yeah, I believe it. We had a farmer out here who had a rich THCV crop, and he created a bunch of oils like way back in 2019. And Stone, you might know him. Aaron. I'll just say it who it is. I'm not worried about it. Yeah, Tejas Aaron. So Aaron Owens, he had this great garlic THCV that was doing really well natively here in Texas, and he put it in a really beautiful tincture. And that year, over the course of that year and a half, when he was getting his information, because he did want to partner with clinics, he was trying to figure it out. He's a farmer. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do next. So he's working with docs and he's getting stories from patients, and the diabetic patients specifically as it related to THCV, we're seeing appetite suppression, but moderation of how they were actually registering it, not in the same. THCV is it's natural Ozempic. It's a GLP-1 agonizer, and so it's the same thing without as much of the danger, more natural, more gradual, the way to go. That's just my personal opinion. That's not I can't objectively say that or scientifically back it up right now, but I've seen it. I've used it. I love it. I'm for it.
Well, the reality of research into this is that it's going to take a shitload of money. Okay. And that's where we run into the wall, because right now there's way too much uncertainty for someone to throw hundreds of millions of dollars into long-term research unless they're going to get a return on their investment. And in our industry, we like to think of the hog farm mentality and Brownie Mary and all for the good of everybody. The answer is no. You got to cobble together hundreds of millions of dollars and then have some sort of assurance of a return on your investment. We're not in that environment right now. So we're gathering anecdotal stuff. And before the Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act, physicians and practitioners for millennia had figured shit out anecdotally. Okay. But we don't allow that today. It's not how it works. And to scratch and sniff on this story, there are compounds in this plant that trigger the immune system to do what it's supposed to do. That begs to be studied. And why we can't get the funding just is part of the uncertainty out there. And, the federal government's fighting with a lot of these institutions of higher learning for all sorts of reasons other than we need to go figure cancer out. So that's another confounding factor here. Money's being pulled and pushed in directions. Bobby Kennedy's pushing in one direction, pulling in another. Yep. And to just throw $1 billion at a project that might actually help cure cancer right now, you just can't cobble the money together. And I can't give a straight-faced argument to someone that wants to invest that money. How do you get a return on your investment? Because that kind of money does not work with the mentality of let's do it all for our brothers and kumbaya. Yeah. I'd love to have that be the reality. It's just not the reality of where the industry is and the money it's going to take to really study this stuff.
You're right on that. And Dr. Mark in the chat, he says THCV appetite suppression has nothing to do with how the GLP drugs work.
Yeah, I understand it. Okay, thank you, Dr. Mark.
Yes, and I find it interesting that this was a hemp study. Am I correct? That was these were hemp varietals that was used on this, Nate. I find it interesting that people are surprised by this because we all know that hemp and cannabis all have the same definition as far as cannabis sativa L. So I don't understand why this is a big surprise, everybody. Not sure about that.
We're one step closer. You could sum a lot of this up by saying that there's now one more set of compounds that are easily identifiable, recognizable on the cannabis plant that have been proven, like CBD, to help in the fight against cancer. So it's no longer just lip service saying, hey, cannabis is anti-cancerous.
Yeah.
We had this idea as an industry. Now, although, Dale makes a great point in terms of mass studies that will actually move a mountain. We are, hundreds of thousands of studies later from having that initial notion when we were kids of, hey, cannabis might be better in some of these ways than it just immediately makes me feel. And hey, this story that I read somewhere that suggested somebody beat cancer with cannabis, that sounds like maybe some internet bullshit. But at the same time, like, go figure, I've seen this happen a lot of times in cannabis where there's a version of these stoned living room conversations we had as kids that actually ended up panning out and being true. Maybe it's, confirmation bias. I'm only remembering the ones that, went well instead of like, man, if I get high enough, what if I drove a race car? Like, that never panned out. But everything else in terms of how good this plant can be and what it can actually accomplish, holy shit. It's, really just stacking on information. Unfortunately, it's slow going. But there, the scorecard is number of studies that show cannabis is good for you is in the hundreds of thousands. Number of studies that cannabis is bad for you, very, very few. And even those seem to be highly conditional and saying, hey, if maybe you have a heart condition, smoking something isn't the best idea.
Dr. Mark also says, data holes were already known, but this is the first report that he believes that shows that they have anti-cancer activity. Interesting. Very interesting.
Like, they're actually killing the cancer. And Dr. Mark is right. It is not an agonist. It is a blocker. It's a CB1 blocker that reduces appetite, where the agonist will antagonize something else.
Yes.
But I stand by, it's like you will lose weight.
I think that's for some people. I don't think that's for everybody. I'm not buying all that.
Some of us will lose weight.
Yeah, some people will. Some people.
I found it's for my Hashimoto's. One of this is why I'm so strong on it. Is one of my symptoms is my metabolism is out of whack. Dale's right. I think as we develop more science, we're going to realize much of this is a result of deficient endocannabinoid systems. And that hopefully that'll lead to a legal argument that we all have a right to have access to this plant, because it's essential for some people to function, especially when it comes to PTSD. You see CB1 receptors, that there's more of a hunger for those receptors to, when you have cases of PTSD. Dr. Mark can explain it better than I can. And
Dr. Mark will be on tomorrow's show, and so we'll let him kind of opine a little bit on that as well, so make sure that you know what I'm saying.
It definitely does help with like bloating, weight loss, and all of that stuff when you're already struggling with an autoimmune disorder. For the majority of patients that I've anecdotally spoken
to. You're saying the V kills the bloat.
It does a lot. It just helps you to regulate a little more. Wait, what? Are you making a joke?
Dale got it. Dale got it immediately.
Well, the problem still is to have double-blind studies where we take out any suggestion in somebody's mind that something may do or not do something, and that's where we just don't have an answer yet, because that's the problem with anecdotal studies. And they may be totally true, but until everybody's blind to what they're getting and you do the results from an objective standpoint, scientific standpoint, it's subject to criticism. Just because if you're a scientist, you go, well, we need to do the full studies. Yes, we do. But there's mounting evidence this works. So let's get the studies going, for God's sakes. Because I lost a niece to cancer. We tried to use cannabis for her. Didn't work. I tried everything. I've also had clients that had a child with an astrocytoma. They put them on Rick Simpson oil, and the kid got better. Okay. So within those mixes, the emotions are hard to take out, but they have to be able to do this scientifically. And that's where we still struggle. I mean, I remember when Taskin from UCLA said smoking weed safer than breathing the air in LA. Oh my God, the sphincter's tightened up in Washington. How in the world could you say that? Because it's true. Fucking idiots.
The keisters, the keister tighten.
Dr. Mark is back in the chat.
Yep.
Dr. Mark said CB1 agonists like THC give the munchies. CB1 antagonists like THCV turn off the munchies. And GLPs actually slow the emptying of your stomach and change how you process.
And on that, we are going to roll right into Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mom. She's a veteran. She's a mediator that will help your ass stay out of court so you can maybe save some money. That's right. It is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes.
And Jason was so kind to let me join you guys today to share some great news.
I can't wait to hear what Stone has to say about your story, Shaun.
I'm very excited for what everyone has to say about this story because it's a good day in Texas. The Texas hemp and cannabis industry beats back Dan Patrick's last-minute secret push to ban THC. Oh, we were playing games yesterday. I don't often break into hives, but when I do, I have a good reason. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's last-minute backdoor push to outlaw hemp products blows up in smoke as the legislature adjourned late Wednesday night. We are sine-die, friends. This is a High at 9 News original. The Texas legislature adjourned sine-die late Wednesday without passing new restrictions on hemp-derived THC, ending months of speculation and a last-minute push by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to advance a de facto ban bill. The defeat came after one of the most turbulent years in Texas politics, marked by contentious debates in both the regular and special sessions. Lawmakers considered multiple proposals to outlaw intoxicating hemp products, bills that drew sharp opposition from small business owners, patients, veterans, and industry advocates who said such counterintuitive measures would eliminate more than 50,000 jobs, shuttering thousands of retail locations and pushing an $8 to $12 billion industry into illicit channels. Throughout Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning, Patrick convened private meetings with key House Republicans, including Briscoe Cain and other members, planning a run for Congress to discuss moving forward on a bill modeled after HB 6 and HB 309, both bills which would have essentially banned THC. Sources from within the legislature notified members of the industry early yesterday morning, and these sources do wish to remain unidentified, but I will tell you some of them are mine directly, and it was coming from within the ledge when we got our news yesterday. And they shared early Wednesday morning that Patrick and allies were reportedly holding a last-minute late-night hearing without public comment to push the bill forward. As word spread of secret meetings Tuesday night and the potential for a push to a ban potentially without public comment, advocates and business owners mobilized quickly. After hours of negotiations and scores of phone calls from outraged constituents, House Public Health Committee Chair Gary Van Dever, who authored HB 6, made a public statement that no hearings had been scheduled for the time being. They were catching a lot of heat. They even had to put out a few statements. Hours later, Patrick conceded on X shortly after 8 p.m. that he did not have enough support in the House to proceed as planned. After long discussions last night between the governor, speaker, and me, Dan Patrick, on THC, and continued hours of discussion today, we were not able to come to a resolution. I appreciate the effort by Governor Greg Abbott to find a solution. My position remains unchanged. The Senate, and he's only speaking for 20 Republicans, not the whole Senate, and I are for a total THC ban. The collapse of the ban effort capped 8 months of testimony and debate across multiple hearings this year. Hundreds of Texans, veterans, patients, parents, and small business operators crowded the Capitol hearing rooms to voice opposition. Advocates stressed that their defense of hemp was not driven by large lobbying firms or corporate campaigns, despite being directly called nefarious bad actors, criminals, and paid shills by Senator Charles Perry throughout the session. Hundreds of Texans turned out to testify during hearings in both regular and special session, many of them small business owners, veterans, and advocates who had been a part of the hemp industry since 2019 when Congress passed the Farm Bill, and probably before then. And Texas followed by writing its own regulations for consumable hemp products. Yes, we do have regulations. For some odd reason, and I'll keep it a little bit short because I know we're coming up on time, they still did not pass an age gate So we still are without an age gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texas.
Okay. Advocates are cautioning the industry, though, since lawmakers could not even agree on a simple age gate bill, one that might have resolved months of political wrangling by setting clearer rules for retailers. Many at the Capitol privately acknowledge the obstacle is not policy, but politics. Adapting an age gate framework would be seen by some Republicans as signing off on legalization. That stalemate has left operators without clear guidance, and it's made any sale to minors not only an industry failing, but also, I'm going to have to say, a consequence of legislative refusal to act. The Texas Hemp Coalition underscored that point in their statements this morning. They said, while we are encouraged that no bans were enacted, it's critical that our industry continues to demonstrate responsibility and compliance. We urge all operators to, 1, maintain your 21 plus age restrictions on all sales, 2, avoid packaging or marketing that could be deemed attractive to children, and 3, ensure consumers have high quality tested products that meet safety standards. But we got it, guys. We are done. We are sign die. It has been a very long year, a couple of years for me. When I heard, I'll tell you behind the scenes, when I heard about HB 309, I did kind of freak out, and I got into a fight with a tomato plant that same day, and that's how this happened. It was just a huge cortisol dump. So yesterday's news, while I was patting on my prednisone and taking my steroids, was very much welcome. I am so happy that everybody showed up yesterday, made their phone calls, even when we weren't 100% sure about the information that was being given to us. Thank you for trusting those of us who received inside information and then taking action immediately, because I do believe that you guys thwarted something that they were going to try to push at the last minute like they did in our last session. So congratulations, Texas. Texas Hemp lives again. And let's take that 8 to 12 billion. Let's see if we can't push that more like a 15 to 20. Back to you.
Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations, Texas. This is, you know what I'm saying? This is a big win. You guys ran out the clock. You guys got it down to the wire. And I threw this in the chat. I said, I guess, Texas prefers corrals over gates all day out there in Texas. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? What do you think, Stone? This is big news for you, bro. You're in Austin, in the capital city.
Yeah, it is big news, man. Are you
guys gonna have a parade?
No, probably not. But we'll all have our own little personal parades. Okay. The news came out that he was doing this little sneaky, backdoor shit at 6 o'clock yesterday, or that was going down at 6 o'clock yesterday. I didn't expect anything good to come out of it. I know they had that last bill that they voted in front of everybody that had a little bit of regulation but had some banning. It was not going to be good. And I don't know. I was a little surprised. I'm stoked. I'm surprised. And now the job's not done, Texas. We got to get Dan Patrick the fuck out of office. Let's
you guys gonna have to primary him. You're not gonna, a Democrat's never gonna beat him. You're gonna have to primary him in Texas. You're never gonna get a Democrat to hold that seat. So you're gonna have to primary him with somebody good.
Gotta be.
I do think that we need a new wave of Republicans in Texas. I do think that could be something very interesting.
I agree with that thing, because there is plenty of prohibitionists out there that aren't about freedom and liberty and want to be about overregulation, and a lot of those are the ones that I call rhinos, Republican in name only. And that's just they are more ideologues than they are freedom-loving Americans, and want to be able to allow adults to make the choices that best suit their lives which is what this country is based and founded on, as you can even tell from my cufflinks, because my cufflinks today are the United States Constitution. See what I did there for you, Stone?
Yeah. Something you've never read, right?
What's that, Dale?
Something you've never read?
Stop it. I got a copy of the Constitution. What are you talking about? I've even been and visited it. We've hung out together. You know what I'm saying? Like we spent some times together. I had security harassing me in that building because of some other accoutrements I had with me that day, and it was pretty awesome. It was a pretty awesome day. We'll have to tell you the story one of these days, Dale.
Well, I just wish that politicians would wake up and understand this concept popular sovereignty, because it's clear that at least 60% of the people in this country want this shit to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep seeing politics, games being played all over the place. It's like, just stop. People want this. Let's go on. There's bigger fish to fry. There are real criminals out there. Trust me. They go into schools and shoot them up. They rob banks. They steal your shit. They track some kid down and shoot him for Ding Dong Ditch. There's real fucking criminals out there.
Ding Dong Ditch. That was a great game.
Wants to, grow a plant, get high, just don't endanger anybody. And that's our founding principles, our freedom, personal freedom. Leave me the fuck alone. If I'm not bothering you, what does it matter what I'm doing in the privacy of my own home?
Exactly. And Dale, I guess you tell the people to, grow a plant and grow a sack all at the same time, right?
The spine, yeah. Grow something, shit.
Exactly.
I think it would have been insane if they would have kept trying to kick this down and it would have gone to next week, because Champs is coming next week. And can you imagine if they would have played this game during Champs? It would have been
people wouldn't have known if they're supposed to have a booth or if they're supposed to go to the State House. So it's probably a good thing.
Champs down at the state capitol.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been good for the industry overall, because you're going to have a whole bunch of wackadoodles looking like a big old clown show over there that's going to really just put double down on all the stereotypes that all the legislatures already feel about. So that would not have been a good thing at all. You'd have a freaking clown show over there. You guys might as well just all put on face paint and some wigs and
Everybody's going to be in a good mood next week for Champs, though. Bring your business down to Texas.
Any thoughts on this, Nate, before we wrap it up?
I liked your pitch for National Treasure 4.
Fair enough.
So, I think, all things told, it's good. I like the idea that, in terms of seeing cannabis news on almost this weekly flux, it feels like the waves of change. They're obviously just lapping in, and it's going to be years. I mean, maybe the rest of my lifetime before I ultimately see things as I had envisioned them. It's heading in that way, but it's even in conservative climates such as Texas, it's very encouraging to see that, at the end of the day, everybody likes weed. It's a good idea to fucking just about everybody. I mean, certainly the majority of people. So I want to keep seeing this, I'm biased as fuck, but I want to keep seeing this happen.
Fair enough.
Also, just a testament to the power. And I'm sorry, Jason.
No, go ahead. Please go ahead, Shaun. It's your original piece. Get your piece in.
And I was really celebrating last night, and I'm really leaning on the indicas today in the beta crossing.
Did you do any cartwheels?
To keep things calm. I dance partied. There's a video of me, hives, swollen eye, and everything. I'm singing "Don't Stop Believing" late last night. But I think it's a testament to the power of the people, because it really was the Texas cannabis. It was not money that moved this. It was the Texas cannabis community that stopped the money from ruining everything and allowing an open market. We have one of the biggest and best open markets, and I'm really excited to see it grow. But what I'm more excited to see is this ripple from Texas that really brought people together, that brought them together despite their differences and disagreements to argue and fight for the same thing that they all believed in, a common shared belief. I really want to see this happen in other states, especially those that are already legal and regulated. So that way you guys can get to more of an open parity. Because when we hear this, the catastrophes that are unfolding in California, when you guys have such a beautiful market and a deep legacy, I want to see better for all of us. And I think this is a real testament to what can happen when people come together, organize, and unite behind a good cause, not just profitability.
Stone, you know what I think Lieutenant Dan Patrick should get into when he gets out of government, when he loses his primary?
What's that?
I think he should get into the equestrian business. Because I think equestrian business, because I think he would make a good canter, because he just likes to go around and around and around in circles. And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai are somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.